So in the past couple of days, Dan Orlovsky and Nick Wright have gotten into a disagreement on social media when it comes to a quote put out by an NFL executive on Josh Allen. And here you can see from Nick Wright, he said this: a pal and colleague called an anonymous NFL exec an, quote, idiot for stating an opinion on Josh Allen that I think is correct, and then responded by stating his own opinion, which is belied by the actual historical record. And then Dan Orlovsky starts responding to him on Twitter and /X, whatever you want to call it, and they go back and forth. But let me first show you the clip from Dan Orlovsky that Nick Wright is talking about. Then I'll show you Nick Wright, what he had to say in response to that, and then their back and forth on X in the past day or so. So first off here, we have Dan Orlovsky responding to this quote. Let me read the quote first from an anonymous NFL exec put in a article at ESPN by Jeremy Fowler. One of the more overrated players in the NFL, speaking of Josh Allen. Immense talent, but he makes a lot of mistakes. He's underdeveloped at winning at the line of scrimmage, tends to lock onto targets, more of a thrower than precision passer, forces throws into traffic. Now here is Dan Orlovsky responding to that quote to start us off.
He's an idiot. That source, respectfully, I don't mean to be like that. That's moronic to say. First of all, Greeny, in the last 4 seasons, the only quarterback that has a better plus-minus turnover to touchdown ratio is Patrick Mahomes. The only guy. So he's the only guy that you would definitively, without question, take over Josh Allen. They've lost to Kansas City 3 times in the playoffs. I mean, Josh Allen is 2 or 3 plays away from being a multi-Super Bowl appearing quarterback and potentially Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's lost to Kansas City in the playoffs by freak defense and lost to Kansas City in the playoffs by missed field goal. It's a moronic statement to make, and for some reason, I don't know what the reason is, Josh Allen has become the cover boy for who could be the biggest hater and say the dumbest stuff.
All right, so that's what Dan Orlovsky has to say. And now let me show you what Nick Wright had to say about that clip from Dan Orlovsky. Here it is on FS1. First things first. Here we go.
Your reaction.
So here's the thing. Obviously, Josh Allen's a very good player. And obviously, what this NFL executive is saying is true. Which is why I found so galling when I was looking up some Josh Allen numbers, because I want to be precise on this, and I saw my pal Dan Orlovsky call this guy an idiot.
Yes.
And it said, guy's an idiot. And then Dan went on to make things up. But what he said has just become like canon of the Josh Allen story, but they're lies.
Oh.
I heard he's 2 or 3 plays away from being in multiple Super Bowls. What are the plays? Tell me the 2 or 3 plays that put Josh Allen in a Super Bowl. Because I can go through the career. First year in the playoffs, you lost in round 1. So do we all agree you weren't 2 or 3 plays away that year? Okay, so that's not it.
Maybe.
Your next year in the playoffs, you were in the AFC title game, down by 3 scores in the 4th quarter and lost by 14. So do we agree you weren't 2 or 3 plays away that year? Then next year is the famous 13 seconds game, which happened in round 2. So if 2 or 3 plays go differently that game, then you are 2 or 3 plays and a whole football game at home against Cincinnati, who you would never lose a home game to Cincinnati, except the next year in round 2, you lost a home game to Cincinnati. The next thing I heard Dan and others say is, last year, he's a missed field goal away from being in the Super Bowl. No, you were a missed field goal away from tying up a game in round 2. That if you had then won, you would have gotten the opportunity to go to Baltimore. So someone just be okay with the honesty, which is physically A+, arm talent A+, career accomplishment B, performance in the biggest games of his career up and down. That's what he's been. And if we show you, Brew, throw out his first year. Not fair. It's his rookie year. Throw it out. throughout his second year when he kind of turned the page, how has he been just as a passer since he became an MVP candidate? The answer is, all right, who cares about year one, 32nd? This is a rookie year. Okay, since that MVP level year when he was 4th, middle of the pack.
And right here, they're showing a graphic of his passer rating from 2018 and 2023, 32nd, 24th, 4th, 16th, 8th, 16th. So basically, Dan Orlovsky does not agree that Josh Allen is one of the most overrated players in the NFL, which I, for one, I'm sort of more in line with what Dan Orlovsky is saying. Nick Wright is saying that he's a very good player, but that he agrees with this anonymous NFL executive that he is one of the most overrated players in the NFL. And you can make some arguments to say, okay, maybe at times Josh Allen can be a little turnover prone. I don't think it's as big a deal as Nick Wright is making it sound, in my opinion. But he is. I think when you look at Josh Allen and his stats over the years, he's still been, and even as a passer, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You look at his touchdown to interception ratio career, it's basically identical to Peyton Manning, who has a 2.15 touchdown interception ratio. Josh Allen, 2.14. So let's not act like, the Bills have been, held back by Josh Allen and his, passing ability. So now let me show you what Dan Orlovsky responds to on X. I believe it was yesterday, and they go back and forth. So here's what Orlovsky says to that first tweet I showed you. To Nick Wright. You're a good man, brother. Calling him the most overrated guy in the league is idiotic. You can talk turnovers all you want, but the only guy who has a better touchdown/to-turnover ratio since 19 is Patrick, and Allen is plus 94. Not Patrick, not perfect, but he's a stud. I agree with that. Nick Wright responds. The details here matter. The guy you called an idiot didn't say he was the most overrated guy in the league. He said he was one of the more overrated players. Those are very different. Just like it's very different to have been 2 or 3 plays away from winning a divisional round game in 2021 and 2 or 3 plays away from being in multiple Super Bowls. If you can show me the 2 or 3 plays that we can change that put Josh Allen in one, let alone multiple Super Bowls, I'd love to see them. Orlovsky responds, morning, honest question, honest answer. Take the money away. How many teams aren't switching their QB with Buffalo right now if they could? 3? And so they're basically just disagreeing about, Josh Allen. Is he overrated? Is he not overrated? I think that, Nick Wright saying that he's agreeing with the guy who said he's one of the more overrated players. I don't think Josh Allen is overrated, as I shared some of those statistics here when it comes to touchdown to interception ratio. And in the other clip I was showing you from Nick Wright, he goes on to talk about Josh Allen and basically how later in the season he was saying that the less they relied on Josh Allen as a passer, the better they were. I just don't think that if you look at the Bills in their, in the years since Josh Allen got there, that Josh Allen as a passer is holding them back. I think that it's the complete opposite. Josh Allen as a passer is the reason, plus his rushing ability, is the reason they've been one of the best offenses in the NFL year after year after year. Yes, they have struggled in the playoffs, haven't been able to get back to an AFC championship since 2020. They have won a playoff game each of the last 3 seasons. They did lose in the divisional round. So there's no doubt Josh Allen could have been better and hasn't really gotten to that top tier level and, gotten to a Super Bowl yet. And so I agree with that point. But you can't say that I think Josh Allen is, holding the Bills back because of his passing ability. You look at the Bills and their scoring offenses the past 4 years. 3 of the last 4 years, they're top 5 scoring offense. 2nd, 2020, 3rd in 2021, 2nd in 2022, and 6th in 2023. So consistently, one of the best offenses in the NFL because of Josh Allen. And then to finish off here, this was posted by First Things First, Josh Allen's passer rating in his ranks. And then Nick Wright there, quote, Josh Allen is a wildly talented, flawed player. And then Dan Orlovsky responds to that saying this, see, this is why numbers are at times silly. Often you can make them say what you want. Josh Allen QBR, 2020, 3rd, 2021, 5th, 2022, 2nd, 2023, 3rd. By the way, last year, Mason Rudolph and Jake Browning were top 10 in passer rating. Numbers are what you want them to be so often. So I'll be curious to hear your guys' thoughts on who you more agree with. I honestly am more on Dan Orlovsky's side. I think that Nick Wright clearly, believes that Josh Allen is a talented player. But I think that, when you say he's, a really, really talented player, but in the same, statement, you're also saying that he's one of the more overrated players in the NFL. I honestly just don't agree with that. I don't think he's one of the more overrated players in the NFL. He's consistently been one of the best QBs in the NFL year after year after year. So I probably lean more towards Dan Orlovsky's side. But let me know in the comments down below. You want more NFL content like this? Feel free to subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos. There's a lot of videos on this channel the past few days from other NFL topics. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.